Hi, homeschool friends. We are in Unit 5 about juggling multiple skills. And in this lesson, we're going to talk about how to structure your space and why. So give me a second and I'll switch to my slides. So in the last lesson, I talked about the purpose of structure, and that structure is not discipline, it's not reactive, and it's not punishment. It is the boundaries or the sandbox in which we play in when we do our homeschool. So the first thing we did was plan our routine and our activities. We want to structure those so that they work best for the kids, our kids at the ages where they are, sequence them so that it flows through the day. Most of the time we want a routine that we follow the sequence rather than a rigid time frame. Although the more structure you need, the more you add to that structure, like adding in time periods. So this time we're going to talk about organizing our space, and a homeschool is not a classroom. I have seen homeschoolers who actually have a classroom and they set it up as a classroom with student desks and a teacher desk. I haven't seen that for a long time because mostly it didn't work to bring an institutional kind of setting into the home. I have seen people though that have a house where they have an extra bedroom or they have an office space and they set it up as their classroom. That's nice, especially if you need to be able to feel like you're going away from the home environment to do your school tasks or your learning tasks. Mostly in our family, we use the kitchen table to do lessons with me, and I structured my space where my bookcase or my buckets, my whatever organizational system I used for that year was close to where we were going to work. You might set up different stations though for different kinds of tasks. That way the kids can know that they have freedom to move around. They have freedom to make choices. They can be in different positions. Sometimes my kids love to work even on paperwork in a prone position, lying down on the floor. So some of the options that you could use are using your kitchen table, having a small table or a desk. You could, especially if they're older, you could even put it in their room. My high schoolers, one of my high schoolers mostly preferred to work in her bedroom. The others wanted to be near me. Even though they were working independently, they still needed to be in the same room that I was in so they could ask questions. Read aloud time, we usually did it in our living room, and then our TV where we would watch videos were in the family room. So we used both of those places. The read aloud times or our morning meeting took place in the living room, and video watching for social studies or science took place in the family room. Science experiments can take place in the kitchen. There's a sink right there. There's a stove right there. So you can use heat, you can use water. If you have a workshop, that would be a great place to have science experiments, but we didn't. We just had a plain old typical middle-class home. If you do projects, you could have a craft room or the kitchen. I found doing crafts in the kitchen was kind of cumbersome because yes, we cleaned up, but we also had to really put stuff away. So if we were in the middle of a big project, it had to get cleared off for us to eat our meals. So having a craft room might be nice if you have that option, but certainly projects can be done anywhere that you choose in your home or even outside on a patio. Play learning can be in a playroom. It could be in the children's bedrooms. It could be outside. It could be in the family room, wherever you set up play time. That's where your kids can play and it will work for you. you might want to make sure that, especially if they're younger, that you're able to supervise them. And if you set up your play learning in the family room, you can possibly be doing laundry folding or doing a task in the kitchen if you've got a great room, where your kids can still be having free playtime. You're supervising, but you're both doing different tasks in the same space, overall space. Socials could be at a park, an event. You could go to grandma's house to do some of your projects or learning. Instrument practice could be in a bedroom or a family room, wherever you can manage the noise. Homeschool co-ops often take place either at a library, sometimes at a school setting, a church. You can find a community room to have a homeschool co-op or a book club, or we used to have a craft group that would get together, and we'd go to one of our family's churches and just use their fellowship hall, and we'd set up, do our projects, and then clean up and leave. And the church was able to let us use that space for free. Woodworking projects could be in the garage or a shop. Now, I want to talk about posters or maps in the hallway. When you structure your space, think about for sure, your home, but I want you to think about explicit instruction means directly teaching your child some skill or some piece of knowledge, information. That's explicit instruction. Also, there is implicit instruction where you've already instructed something or you're learning something and you want reminders up. That's what posters or maps in the hallway are. They're a form of implicit learning where your child has access to reminders of that information regularly as they walk down the hall. For early childhood, it could be a poster on the colors and something that's in that color with the word underneath. You'd be surprised at how neurotypical children will learn to read color words just from an implicit poster on the wall. For older kids, you may have a poster on the days of the week or the months of the year. We used to put up character trait definitions and Bible verses. We'd put up maps. Sometimes it was, well, we almost always had a world map and a US map up somewhere in a hallway or in our room where we typically did school, so we could kneel on the couch or get up close to it, and usually it was laminated so we could mark it, and we might leave those markings or we might erase them. Anyway, posters or maps can be very helpful in reinforcing what you've been teaching. All right, the next lesson is going to be on managing behavior. And that's also part of juggling multiple skills, but I wanted to separate that in our lessons so that we're talking specifically about behaviors, especially common behaviors that kids with special needs may present with, how to prepare for those and be proactive instead of reactive. So I will let you go. Make a map of your house. Where do you plan to structure your space? Drawing out a plat map is a good idea because then you can actually visually say, okay, in the kitchen, science, kitchen table, reading with mom, family room, play area, and you can set it up as such. All right, well, plan out your space, structure it so it works for you, and I'll see you in the next lesson. All right, bye.